Hello, boys.
Hello.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Hi, Dave.
How you doing?
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Watching, obviously I'm Will, this is
listening.
Ralph.
Yes.
Listening, and here sat with us is Dave Wilson, also known as Sober Dave. How are you, mate?
I'm really good, mate. How are you?
We're all right. How's your 2022 started?
Really well, actually. I celebrated 3 years of my sobriety, which I wouldn't have believed 3 years ago.
Right. And how did all this start? I mean, we have to start at the beginning. It's the best place to start, usually.
Well, let's talk a bit about Dave. So Sober Dave is like I guess brand seems a little bit too like mercenary a word, but it's your sort of thing that you've started to become like it's a way of referring to yourself, but also you have an app. Yeah. Sober Dave, and it's and I guess social channels and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I basically started with an Instagram page talking about my journey because I've been drinking since I was 14 years old. I had a bit of a traumatic experience. My mum left the family home when I was 14, but she didn't tell me. She left a letter on the table. So I came down, didn't know what it was, opened it up, and she said, look, I've left your father for another man and I'll be in touch. And I didn't see her for at least a year. But shortly after that, my dad met someone else. And I just felt rejected, you know. And I was quite an immature 14. I wasn't really streetwise.
Yeah.
And after that, I kind of got into the wrong crowd at school because they made me feel accepted. And I wasn't a fighter. I was more of the drinker, so that was my handle, you know.
That was your shtick, yeah, like the funny one.
Yeah. I was the lad, and I hated fighting anyway. But then, so in those days, you didn't need ID to go into a pub. So 15 years old, we were going into the local pub, probably 4 or 5 beers then, and you were drunk. Yeah. Foster's, whatever, you know, like a low percentage, and that's where I got my reputation. But it was also mixing with older people. So it was kind of my community. I felt wanted, accepted, you know, but I kind of took to it straight away. You know, I was really sporty, but also I was like a real hardcore drinker. So Friday, Saturday, Sundays, always in the pub. And in those days, never in the week, I didn't even think about it. I used to play a lot of football and stuff like that. But
Was it do you think, though, because some people, and you know, it's like a mechanism of fitting in or being a part of something. Was it the drink you enjoyed? Was it the feeling of being drunk, or was it just the social side of it? You know what I mean? There's different kinds of and levels to drinking. Did you enjoy the social side of it? I
enjoyed the social side, but it also helped me forget what got on, you know. So I kind of put it in a box, and I put it in a cupboard because I couldn't stand what had happened. Like, my dad was broken, and in those days you don't understand why they meet a new person. I didn't know whether he'd been in a dating agency or whatever. This woman just appeared in my life what seemed really short time after my mum left.
Around about what year was this, Dave, if you don't mind me, like roughly speaking? What date, what year?
That would have been 1978.
Yeah, people I guess, I mean, it's 2 years before I was born, but like, people didn't really talk about that. About that kind of stuff.
No,
it's not like there's a family support network where it's like,
no,
listen, this is what's happened. Everything was kind of like, right, get on with it.
We never talked about anything like that.
Yeah.
So my dad especially, because he was brought up in a house full of women, that he was never encouraged to talk about emotions. Yeah. My mum was quite hard, so she would never talk about things, hence why she probably wrote a letter to me. But it was that experience that it was like, one, her leaving, my dad meeting someone else, and then I just felt so alone. I remember walking down the road, crying my eyes out. And when I met the boys that weren't really my group of people, you know, I felt accepted. So I started going down the wrong road then, pretty quickly, actually.
And that was 14 to 15?
Yeah.
So when you left school then, what happened work-wise? Did that get in the way of work, or was it just weekends? Because you said you were sporty as well.
Yeah, I play a lot of football, But I think when you're that age, you recover really quickly, don't you?
You bounce back, made of rubber, don't you?
Mate,
we were talking about that before. I can't.
Mate, I used to play when I used to play semi-pro football, and I used to go. We'd play on a Saturday, go out and get absolutely annihilated, smashed.
Yeah.
You'd be back for training. Well, actually, sometimes I'd get smashed on the Saturday night,
Play on the
and
Sunday.
then I'd still turn out for a Sunday league team and be
Yeah.
absolutely fine by minute 3
Yeah.
because you're just like, oh, this will be fine, and you
Yeah.
just think you're immortal.
There was a funny thing the other day. I was watching Paul Gascoigne talk about the first time he met Maradona, and he said we were warming up, and he was like, Gaza to Maradona, listen, nice to meet you. I don't know about you. I just wanted to let you know I'm a bit pissed. and Maradona went, so am I. It was like professional footballers in them days. You know what I mean? It was like accepted that you had a few beers.
My favourite thing about that story is how you thought about doing Gaza's accent and then bottled it after
100%. I thought I'm not trying to Geordie.
You went up to Maradona and
I end up Indian,
and then you went, fuck this.
I read there, guys. I read Maradona. I can't do it.
I can't do it either.
So go on, sorry. So around 14, 15, like you're drinking already heavily, but
was it heavy then?
Was it heavy then? Yeah, sorry.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I remember once I was in my bedroom and I could hear my dad and his new woman laughing downstairs. The heating had broken down, so they had the gas fire on, but upstairs the radiators were messed up, shivering with my little record deck. And I don't know how I did it. I got a bottle of martini and was drinking it in my bedroom at 14 years old. I drank it and then ripped the stereo lid off of the thing to throw up in it. And when I woke up in the morning, it's literally dripping over the top, you know. And it was those sort of things at that age that aren't normal, you know. But I just think I was burying those feelings because it come out the blue. There was no warning or anything, you know. And it's quite a thing, isn't it, for your mum to leave you a letter to say, you know. So, but the social side I enjoyed as well because there were a lot of older people in there. Took me under their wing, and you know, playing pool, darts, and whatever. And it was like, we're going down to Skinner's Friday, yeah. They would buy you beers and that. But I'd probably say that in my 20s, I would kind of say was a relatively normal kind of drinking thing with the lads, you know. But in my late 20s, I started going to this Young's pub, and it was a bit like where we are now, you know, and I soon developed a nickname called Glugs because I would chuck the pints down, you know. So that was my new identity, Glugs. And I would throw 6 or 7 pints of beer down in an hour.
Jesus.
Easy, you know.
Really?
And if easy. And if I was to go on a night out, I would 16, 17 pints.
How old when was this, in your 20s?
In my 20s, yeah.
And that's just weekends? That's weekends, or...?
No, I started going in the week. So my neighbour was a proper drinker, and he just said to me one night, "Do you want to come down the local, mate?" I went, "Yeah, right." And that's the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. But so I then became a local, a regular. I'll come in and they go, "Glugsy, come on, son," and whatever, and drink like a fish. Like, and sometimes on a Sunday I'll go in there midday and come out at 10:30 at night, and I would do the whole shift. And then, as we said earlier, get up in the morning, feeling like crap, but carry on with your day. But that got worse and worse. But what happened then was there was a off-licence across the road. So I used to go in the pub, have a skinful, but then go in the offie. And in those days, you could buy Diamond White cider.
Oh.
Yeah.
We talked about it the last time. The other day, we spoke about the first time I got absolutely arsehole. I was 16. And I went to a caravan park. We spoke about it just the other day, and it was 2 for 1 Diamond Whites. And it was the first time, and I'll never forget the feeling.
He managed to get a girl outside.
I got a girl outside,
who was going to cop off with him,
then fell over.
And then he tried to cop off with her, and he just didn't know how many ever he was seeing. And fell over.
Mad,
and I threw up everywhere.
Me, I was much better behaved than that, but I couldn't persuade the girl to come outside. No. Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, so I do get what, the Diamond White. Yeah, so there was, in them days, I remember that obviously Diamond White, but the 2020s and all that, and alcohol pop sort of came into it a bit, didn't it?
I never touched them, but it was the ciders that just gave me that extra kick. I remember leaving the pub one night and you could get a takeaway, and it was in like a ceramic keg. And I was really like gone, you know. And as I walked out the pub, I was swinging this keg and it slipped and went up in slow motion. And I was like, no. And it smashed all over the floor. And I was like, what am I going to do? But I'd had a skinful already. So in hindsight, you know, that was the start of real problems for me. But that got worse. The more I went into my 30s, failed relationships, and I was spending more and more time on my own, at home drinking, going for Sunday lunch. There used to be, there was a meat raffle in the pub. It was a Young's pub. Yeah. So we would be walking down the road drunk at 4 in the afternoon with like a leg of lamb under one arm, a shank of gammon on the shoulder and whatever. But go home, and I wouldn't stop then. I would have had the stash already of the Diamond Whites and that and carry on drinking. Right. But Monday, it was a different kind of hangover because it was like 8.2% ciders. And I would buy 8 or 10, pass out, wake up, start drinking again.
Well, when did that start? That's because I think that is the point, because there's got to be a point where you go, hang on. I mean, and not that you notice, but for people who are drinking or they like a drink, or when you wake up and crave a drink, then your body's starting to want it and the addiction's kicking in. When was that?
I never ever experienced that. I do know a lot of people that...
Oh, did you not?
No. I was never one that would have a glass for when I work or anything. But I had a really manual job then. I was in the carpet trade. So I used to go there and I didn't really have to talk to anyone. You know, I would like go morning, head down, go upstairs, start working and work off my hangover by 11 o'clock. But then from 1 o'clock, I used to start coming off the alcohol, withdrawing, and then thinking, you know, I really could do with a drink.
Did you get the shakes, the DTs?
Yeah, I had the shakes and that, but we can talk about that later about how I stopped, which was really unusual. Yeah. But I think where it started going wrong for me was definitely taking drinks home. That's where it really went downhill fast, you know.
And drinking on your own.
Yeah.
Home, you know. So then you ended up working on 60-Minute Makeover.
Yeah.
Which is where sort of people watching might go, oh yeah, I recognise Dave, yeah. And sort of is what gave you the platform to then launch your social channels and do the work that you're doing now around sobriety. But somebody told me that you were like, oh great, well this is a really, you know, this is going to be great for me because it's a steady job and there's a lot of responsibility because it's a TV show and so on and so on. But actually it didn't work out at all because there's a big drinking culture. Yeah,
well, what I worried about is when I was 40, I bought a lovely cottage out in the middle of nowhere, and it's really lovely, open fireplaces, but I used to call that Hotel Belmonte because the village was Belmont, and I looked at it as like my castle where I used to have a lock in there on my own. Friday lunchtime, finish work, get all my food in, get all my booze in, go in the door, crawl out Monday morning. But it was more like a prison. So I ended up drinking a litre of vodka a night in the end.
Wow.
That's where it escalated to. You know, so it went from ciders to then wine. I put on a load of weight, Googled what alcohol is low on calories. Vodka came up, so I bought half a bottle of vodka. That lasted 10 minutes because I'm glugs. Bought a bottle, that lasted an hour and a half. So I ended up buying litres, but I was doing them every single night. And when I got the gig at 60-Minute Makeover, I was panicking that how am I going to sustain that drinking if I'm on this show? Wow. But they was all pissheads anyway.
Right,
you know,
really?
All of them, yeah. Like the social side was mad. We were going into hotels after, having 5-6 pints before we went up and showered, coming down and then staying in the bar till 2-3 in the morning, but getting up at 5:30 to do the filming. So we were all hanging on the set at 6:30. So, but what I started doing then was putting wine in my suitcase because the beers at the bar weren't enough for me. Right. Because my tolerance level was a litre of vodka a night.
So you wouldn't get drunk?
No, I wouldn't. I could have 7, 8, 9 pints of strong lager and still not be drunk because my tolerance levels. Wow. So I used to go up to my room at 11:30, drink a bottle of wine, bottle and a half of wine, come down, cameraman would say to me, Dave, mate, you absolutely stink. I thought you only had a few beers last night. I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is, mate. I haven't eaten or anything. But it was the fact that I was literally caning the wine in the hotel room.
Right. White or red?
Anything.
Really?
They're literally what I can get hold of, you know.
What a funny question.
Yeah, because white wine and red wine, fuck it. If I drink a glass of red wine, I can feel it. You know what I'm saying?
But Dave just said that you used to drink a litre of vodka.
Yes, I know.
And you're like, Dave, question. Was it a nice crisp little Chablis?
or
a delightful cheeky Sancerre?
Yeah, but I say it's weird because it's hard to put yourself into the mindset of somebody who's an alcoholic. I'm just sort of saying, for me, I know I can drink, if I have a couple of glasses of white wine, I know how I feel. Just a couple of glasses and he's drinking a full bottle of,
Dave,
I don't know.
If you described yourself as you were a functioning alcoholic?
Yeah, I mean, I could drink a litre every night and get up for work every day.
Yeah, and, you know, and make a
Yeah,
living from 60-minute makeover and so on.
The irony is that I never drank and drove. So it was like if I went out in the evening and I had to drive, I'd never have one drink because if I had one, I'd want 10. Yeah, every single morning I got up, I was probably 3 times over the limit. So it didn't make sense. And because we were driving early on the show, you know, like I'd only had 2 or 3 hours in between, which is ludicrous, you know. Wow. But there was a producer of, I think, Hollyoaks, actually.
Oh,
I dropped that in, can't remember his name though.
And I'm Jamble.
And we were having rounds of bottles of wine one night. So we weren't your round, get a beer in, it's your round, get a bottle of wine each in. Wow. And I had 4 bottles of wine in one night. And then had to drive at 6 in the morning, and I don't know how I got there. And the makeover was in an old people's home in the summer. We was doing a Christmas special. It's 70, 80 degrees outside, and had the heating on.
Oh,
so I was in this room,
sweating it out.
Literally, it was terrible, honestly. But yeah, and then when I was 50, I did a makeover in Wandsworth. Peter Andre joined the show then, so it changed the whole format. Yeah. It is actually longer. Right. It was hours, like 12, 14-hour shoots, you know, because we just changed the format. And it was a really nice makeover. It was near where I live, so there's no hotels. And this blonde lady got out of the car. I'd nudged me, mate. Hello, she's nice. And now she's my wife, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Wow.
But then the story continues after that about my drinking.
Really? So it continued on. Did you have children?
I've got a son, George, who's 28, and she has triplets. They were 5 at the time, and an older boy, and who was 11. But the reason we did the makeover for her was because when she gave birth to the triplets that were IVF, 6 months later she got breast cancer, and her partner left her. Right. So the whole community came on board and were bringing around food, and some bloke put some money through the letterbox, anonymous and that. Right. So a friend wrote in and we did the makeover. I mean, I'm classy, right? I messaged her on Twitter the night of the show.
Nice.
And yeah, see?
Got no problem with that, mate.
And I was drunk, obviously, and I said, I'm with the crew. Just to let you know, we're watching the show and it's the best makeover of the whole series, blah, blah. I was on my own in my pants with a bottle of vodka.
Also, he's lying. He hated that episode, but he was like, I'll tell her whatever she needs to hear. We know the game.
Yeah. But so what happened there, we started messaging and whatever, exchanged numbers, and it was Christmas jumper day. And I just sent her one, again, classy. Send me a picture of your Christmas jumper on. I didn't hear all day, and I thought I'd mess that up. Anyway, that night, she sent me a message and said, look, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but I've been at the hospital all day. Right. I went, okay. And she said, my cancer's come back. Right. Sure. So that's a real, like, whoa, what am I going to do with that? So we met up. She's lovely, absolutely, just the kindest person ever. And I just said to her, look, let's just crack on. She gave me a get out, obviously. But I said, let's just crack on. One of our first dates was in the chemo ward. Yeah.
Really?
So that's not the usual, let's go away
No.
for a naughty weekend and, you know, I can give you a bit of rosé and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was how we got to know each other really quickly, you know, like really honestly, but I remember one day going in there and I was really hungover, I had to get a bus to the hospital. And I walked in and she's there with all her tubes coming out and her cold cap on. And she looked round, really pleased to see me, and her hair was like thinning. And I thought, what am I doing? Like, she's desperately holding on to life. She's met me, which is a nightmare for a lot of people, but I'm killing myself with this drinking, you know, and it was the first time probably that I kind of looked at myself and thought, what am I doing? Obviously still didn't make any difference. I carried on. No, I didn't make any difference.
I thought you were going to say from that moment on.
No.
Oh,
I mean, that many times I turned up in the chemo ward feeling the same. I couldn't really kiss her because I thought she was going to smell booze, and I sat there in this really hot room, like dying. And you know, this is how we got to know each other. And then one day, we decided that I'd sell my house. I had no chain my end, she had no chain. I sold it in 6 weeks. In that 6 weeks, I thought, I've got to sort my drinking out because I can't move in there with what I'm doing. Every single day, I'll do it tomorrow, you know.
Can I just ask, because I know I've heard from other people who are alcoholics, and they said they spent so much time and effort in the morning making sure they looked great, presented themselves well, so no one could, so you didn't look like you'd had a drink, you know, making sure you smelt. And it was a guy from Coronation Street who said it, who played Curly, was it Curly? Do you remember his name? What's his name? He's come out. He's a sobriety. You do know him.
No, I can't remember.
Curly Watts.
Yeah, he played. No, wasn't Curly Watts. It was from Coronation Street.
There's a lot of people in Coronation Street.
No,
you? Was it you?
No,
Nina Sharples? No.
Sorry to break this up for a second.
Yeah. No, it's great. Janice Battersby. Was it Janice
Curly Watts
Battersby?
was in EastEnders.
Curly Watts in
Curly Watts. Who played him?
Curly Watts was played by
Kevin Kennedy.
Kevin Kennedy. Right, there we go.
He plays the violin.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Right, you ready? Back in.
Oh, brilliant.
So
thanks. No, I bet Dave's delighted that you interrupted him for that. That was a really good
shut
point.
up, you dickhead.
Thanks.
So, yeah, Kevin Kennedy, I remember seeing an interview with him and he was saying the way he covered up being alcoholic was he made sure he looked pristine and he smelled right. Was that how you covered it up?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really, I hated seeing the neighbours and that, and I used to make excuses up like saying, oh God, you know, I really haven't slept well, or I've got a really bad cold, because I knew I'd look shit every single day.
Right.
But yeah, appearance was part of it, because you lose all your self-esteem and self-worth when you drink like that, because you just think you're a piece of shit, basically.
I was about to ask you about that. This thing about going, I've got to sort my drinking out, and then every day you say, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask is that not a lot about shame?
Yeah.
You know, just go, well, I didn't do it yesterday, I'll be a piece of shit, I'll do it tomorrow, and all this kind of thing. It became like a shame spiral.
It was a lot of things, really. The fact is, Em didn't know that I was drinking like that. You become a master of disguise, you know, so you'd hide it well. So I would say to her, obviously we weren't living together, I'd say something like, do you know what, I've had a long day, let's have a chat now, and I'm going to watch a film and nod off watching, just so that at 10, she's not ringing me and I'm slaughtered, you know. All the excuses used to come out. So she didn't really know, do you know what I mean, that I was that much of a drinker.
To be fair, Dave, I do the same thing with my missus. She's in America. And I do the same with her, and I go, do you know, I've had a long day. But that's not so that I don't have to speak to her at 10 and I'm slaughtered. It's so that she'll leave me alone so I can play the PlayStation.
I'm saying he's a fucking child in a man's body.
That's right.
As soon as you said that, I was like, this is really familiar. I pulled that same trick
just saying
every
you can play
evening.
FIFA.
Yeah. Last time I'm like, babe, I'm going to get a really early night. Oh, you're right. That's really impressive. No, I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. playing against 10-year-old
I know, you just want to be on your own. Yeah, I know. But so what happened there was I kept putting it off and off and off, but there was no chain, and it literally 6 weeks flat, I was moving out.
Yeah.
And I moved in with this black bin. I'd culled loads of my stuff because there wasn't room. put a bin liner of stuff on the floor and sat there, and all these kids were swinging off the lampshades, and you know, it's got triplets and that, and it was like, I need a drink. I want a drink. How can I do it? You know, and I didn't. I went cold turkey for about 3 days because it was a Wednesday.
Wow.
And then at the weekend, it's like, oh, should we have a bottle of wine and that? Yeah, because she didn't really drink. Gradually, I started introducing it into the household, like in the week. But then I started hiding it because it wasn't enough. I couldn't share a bottle of wine. So I started hiding little miniatures in shoes, bottles of wine under the bed, behind the cupboard. But what happened then was, because I couldn't remember where I'd hidden the empties, they were being found left, right and centre, like flower pots in the garden, you know, bottles upside down behind plant pots and stuff like that. So she started questioning that, and then that made me like drink more, because it's like I ain't being told what to do, and you know, and it just spiraled out of all control.
What's your timeline on this, Dave? So you've met your missus.
Yeah.
How long is this after you met? And you've got married at this point?
No.
So you just
moved in.
Met her. Moved in. So how long is this after you've met her? And how long have you been keeping this up for?
Yeah, I suppose the crack started to show after 6 months. But we had a real rock bottom that I was drinking a lot, hiding it, falling asleep on the sofa, mouth open. She would come down and go, oh, thank God he's gone to sleep, because I started getting aggressive. Because, not physically, but, you know, like shouting and getting irritable, because I wasn't in my bubble that I'd had 10 years living on my own at the other house, you know. I was in like a Pink Floyd video, like it was just away with the fairies. But there was all these interruptions and real life going on around me, and I couldn't handle it. So there was a lot of arguments. I was drinking more, passing out. But one day it was Easter, and I just went, fuck it. I got in my van and drove. And I don't know why I head for the sea all the time. You know, so I went down to the south coast, to Eastbourne, threw the van round the back, walked straight into a pub at 10:30 in the morning, which wasn't my style. I was never really a morning drinker. Went up to the bar with a spoon, so I didn't feel judged. And I just went there and said, can I have a pint of Stella, please? And went, yep. And I stayed there all day until about 10 at night. I had nowhere to stay, but I glamorised it in my head, thinking, do you know what?
Be a trip to the south, to the seaside.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to buy a bottle of vodka, because I'm not allowed that indoors. I'm going to camp out on the beach and watch the moon. Drinking the vodka on the beach, freezing cold, pitch. It was like a nightmare, right? Woke up 4 in the morning. Literally, I could have died of hypothermia. Woke up next morning, went to the pier. 10 o'clock, I think they were serving 2 Peronis. And started. I had 4 days of that. I cut all my head open.
4 days? What,
4
just sleeping
days
on the beach?
Yeah, because it was Easter, there was nowhere to stay. But in a way, it was self-sabotage for me. It was like, do you know what? I'm going to go out in glory. Yeah. It was this weird mindset of self-sabotage, right? And I remember trying to get up and have a wee, and I literally fell straight down into the stones and cut all my face open. And next morning, I thought, I haven't eaten for 3 days, and there's a guy selling hot dogs, and I just went up to him, I went, ugh. And he looked at me, and he just gave it to me. It's like, I don't want any money, just take the hot dog, do you know what I mean? Somehow I got back, and then I had an appointment with the doctors and whatever, and they said, look, you need to sort your drinking out, and I didn't.
Still?
No, I still didn't.
So how long, sorry mate, how long ago is this trip, how long ago from now, today, was that trip?
That was 2018, so in that year, I'm looking at you boys there, I've got watch envy, right? I had my Rolex stolen, I was knocked 25 grand by a builder, my mum got ill and died, it was a horrendous year, and my drinking just went out of control. And I thought, do you know what? All this has happened to me. I'm going to fuck everything up, basically, and just go out in glory.
When you say go out, are we talking about going...
Drink yourself to death?
I didn't care. I didn't care what happened. I really didn't care.
And the doctors not say, like, you're going to die in 6 months? How was your liver? And
terrible. Like, well, my blood pressure was shocking. It was like that. She said to me, you could literally have a heart attack any minute.
Really?
Yeah. I was 20 stone.
Shit.
You know, everything about me was terrible. Physically, I was in a terrible position. My marriage was on the rocks. Everything was about to implode on me, and I still didn't stop.
You hear the phrase rock bottom a lot. But I spoke to somebody who's in recovery only a few days ago, and they were telling me that for certain people, the phrase rock bottom doesn't work because it implies a very clear moment. This is it. This is where I realise, and it can only get better from here. But for some people, it's not as clear cut as that. There's like several rock bottoms over a certain period of time. Do you have like a particular one, or was it more of like just a period of time where you were like, things were just bad?
I think probably Eastbourne was the real rock bottom for me, because I could have easily died there. You know, hypothermia, or I could have been attacked or whatever. I think that was a real rock bottom. But I used to say to my wife, I know I've got to do something about it. I know I've got to deal with it. And I knew I had to. I knew I wouldn't be able to moderate. I'd gone too far over. And it was Christmas. So I remember that year, we went round her dad's for dinner. And he used to be an artist, do all the backdrops to the theatre, Swan Lake, hand paint, all the silk backdrop, you know, quite a character. And there was one bottle of wine on the Christmas dinner table, and there was 12 of us. And I looked at it and I was like, are you serious? Like, how am I going to manage this? And I remember walking around a little bit, trying to find some booze to have something, you know, because I was like, that is not going to work for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then, so that was an utter misery. So I went home, got drunk. But I remember having a picture of me and Em by a Christmas tree, and I looked at it after, I thought, oh my God, you look about 80, and you look really ill, mate. And it was just after New Year. A good friend of mine texted me, hangover again, Monday morning, obviously, and he said, Dave, how do you feel about giving up alcohol with me for 3 months to see how you are in your health, your marriage, well-being? And I looked at it, I was like, are you serious? Do you know me? I can't give up for 3 days. But do you know what? It was weird because it trickled in throughout the day. And I remember pulling over in Wimbledon into this garage, and I texted him, you in? He said, yeah, come and see me. And I walked in, and I looked at him, and I said, let's do it.
Wow.
And that was 3 years ago. I haven't drunk since. I just went like that.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
You just switched it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to a lot of people, that's called spontaneous sobriety, where you just stop. But I don't think it was that, because I've been saying for a long time, I know I've got to do something about it. I knew that there had to be a D-Day when I did it, but it was his timing, because if he wasn't in that night, I might still be drinking. It was just the timing was impeccable.
Could have been an excuse for you to carry on drinking.
It would have been. It would have been, and I'd have had a beer that night. But that was it. And I'm one of these people that once I make up my mind, I do it. Even though I had incredible cravings,
that's
triggers.
massive willpower.
Yeah, it was willpower. But also, this is how I got myself into the community, because I created my page and I started documenting it. Wow, a week sober, this ain't easy, blah, blah. And people were messaging me going, oh my God, yeah, you know, I can relate to that and whatever. And it kind of, the power of community is so important. And I went to an event and I was shitting I've never been out without pre-drinks.
Yeah.
And it was in Hackney, and I didn't go, I was late. I thought, I can't go in. And I thought, I've come all this way, just go in. I went in, there was a few big names from sobriety world and whatever, and I sat there and it's like, this is amazing. Like, these people are really nice, because I thought people that didn't drink are boring in beige jackets and you know, and it was really fascinating to see people engage without a drink. And I got on the train on the way home, and there were people swinging off the things. I was like, I'm really liking this. Do you know what I mean? And it went from there, really.
So I remember, I know we've gone through it, but I heard a little bit of something about you, and it tickled me a little bit. You used to sit outside Gordon Ramsay's place and hurl abuse at him.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rant. So I don't know what I was doing, but I basically, well, the story gets worse actually, because when was having implants done at the front because as a football player, a bit like Vinny, I was a nutter when I played football, and I used to go in head first, and someone kicked my teeth out when I was about 20.
Right. I thought you meant you wanted to have your lips done.
Well, that came after.
Yeah, I was like, this is a real left turn. Yeah, no, I get that now, but I was like, wow, he was a real character when he was 20.
and you thought his white and red wine thing was bad.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you were going for a Pete Burns look.
No. So basically, I had a plate in, right, while the things were healing, right? So I went to the pub all day and my son met me and I thought, I don't want to go home, I'm not drunk enough. I went to Sainsbury's, bought 2 bottles of wine and a packet of Yum Yums, and I know exactly where he lives and there's a treat, and I just sat there
Gordon Ramsay
eating Yum Yums, looking at his house going, you bastard. Like drinking wine, right? And I was out of it, like gone. I don't remember going home, right? I woke up on the TV room floor, wooden floor, face down like that, in my coat, covered in mud, right? I'm like, where's my teeth?
Oh, no.
Literally, I couldn't, and we got a chihuahua, right? We thought, she's nicked my teeth. So I'm literally, Lola, what have you done with my teeth? And like, all the cushions flying over. So I had to do the walk of shame to outside his house.
Gordon Ramsay's house?
Yeah. And they were there with 2 empty bottles of wine, the Yum Yum packet in my teeth. So in hindsight, Eastbourne wasn't my rock bottom. That was probably my rock bottom.
Take your teeth out to throw them at Gordon Ramsay and then forget.
Yeah, at least you didn't have to sift through Chihuahua shit to see. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
So there were a few stories like that.
So that spontaneous sobriety, you called it. What about therapy and AA and support networks like that? Is that something that you are involved with? Or?
I tried AA, and at first I really like the ambience of the place, you know, the church. I love old churches and buildings. I went in there and that was like, oh, this is really nice. But it didn't work for me. I went 4 or 5 times and it just didn't feel right. I trust my gut instinct a lot, and I decided that wasn't the route that I was going down. So I then realised after I'd been to that event that the community was my route. And I can honestly tell you that everyone I meet in this world of sobriety are humble, lovely, generous people. I mean that. Honestly, they're just the kindest people. I held an event and people came. One girl flew from Germany. People were coming down from Liverpool, Manchester to this event, and we all sat around, a bit like here, big cosy sofas for an afternoon, drinking non-alcoholic beers and that. And it was just fantastic. And I started meeting people, started getting asked to do talks at events and whatever, and it's just grown from there. And it's just literally changed my life. And I'm a realist. There are times that it's boring. You know, not many people say that in the sober world. You know, oh, everything's great and look at my skin and whatever. Last year when the Euros was on, I was biting my fingers off because I saw people walking to the pub at 11 in the morning. I was thinking, oh, I'll be all over that. You know? Yeah. And it's a real, it was like, why can't I do that? And I played the victim card. But I realised then that I can't do it. You know? It's like
can't just have one or two.
I can't. So it's a bit like being allergic to something. You know, you can no longer have that, so don't even think about it. So there was a certain period that I had to grieve that.
Yes.
You know, like grieving
like
that's
a loss,
been, a loss, because it was my life. You know, I was glugsy. I was the one that loved a beer, and it was my coping mechanism for most of my adult life, you know. So when I stopped drinking, all of a sudden it's like,
who am I now?
Who am I? I had to put the glugsy coat down, and then who am I now? I'm stripped bare of this, and all these feelings are there that I've blocked out from 40 years of drinking.
Yeah, of course.
And so you're right, I did have therapy to sit in that safe space and just talk about it, but I soon realised after that it was too early for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was too much to do. I realised I had to concentrate on stopping drinking first. And I call it now the second phase of sobriety, because it's, you know, you can't start looking back at your childhood trauma and other stuff. It's too raw for you to manage. So I put a couple of years under my belt, and then I started exploring that.
Right. Did you ever ask your mum? Did you ever speak to your mum? You know, you carried on. She came back after a year, right? And you said you had a relationship with it. Was there ever a point where you just went, why did you just write me a letter? Why didn't you tell me? What, like, did you ever get a chance to do that?
No, because I was drinking all the time she was alive.
Right.
No.
I remember something come up when I was drunk, and it was a completely wrong time for me to bring it up, and we kind of fell out.
Right.
But what came from that as well is she met a bloke, John, then, who we're really close now.
Oh,
they were together 40 years, and he really looked after her. So, you know, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
It's just that I didn't deal with that then.
Yeah.
I drank my way through it, and when I stopped drinking, Mum had died.
Yeah.
So, but that's a whole new journey. I'm writing a book now, and I'm talking about my childhood, and that's really bringing up stuff.
I'm sure.
You know, about certain things, you know. But another important thing I need to say is when I stopped drinking, a week after, Em got re-diagnosed with cancer. A week after.
That must have been a really tough time.
It was, mate. Like, what do I do with this? What do I just? Is this the get out for me to say, do you know what? I've tried, but this is coming now.
No one would blame me.
No, exactly.
You've got a reason, you've got an excuse.
Yeah, but I sat with that and I thought, what was I like last time? Passing out on the sofa, and she's upstairs on her own in bed crying, and I'm there snoring. Like, so that really helped me, actually. I was like, no, actually, she really, really needs me, but I need me as well, because how am I feeling about it? You know, she could die. How am I processing this? So that gave me extra strength to actually carry on as well.
Wow. Amazing. I mean, do you think there's a personality trait that goes with addiction and alcoholism, or is it? I mean, because do you think you would have been an alcoholic if you hadn't had the problems with your mum leaving you a letter, or do you think it was always in you to be an alcoholic without them problems?
There's a lot of genetic evidence, and also, like, my parents didn't really drink. So that didn't come into the mix. But for people listening to this, that you think you're just having your glass of wine when you've had a bad day or with dinner or whatever, children growing up notice that, and they look at it as a coping mechanism, you know.
Well, a lot of people, I think, will feel a bit uncomfortable hearing this, but I remember specifically hearing, I think it was somebody in recovery say, or somebody medical, somebody from the science background saying, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but they said loads of people, especially like middle-class people, will get home and they'll go and they'll just have, you know, a bit of wine at night, and they might go through a bottle, maybe 2 bottles of wine at night, but it's good quality stuff, you know. It's like I said before, a cheeky Sancerre, and then at the end of the week there's all the bottles filled up. That's functioning alcoholism, actually. That's that when you rack up those units per week. And that might make a few people go, it's a bit uncomfortable to hear. But, you know, that's what they say.
Well, you asked me earlier about rock bottom, right? You don't have to reach rock bottom for it to be a problem. There's a lot of stuff I talk about now. I'm a grey area drinking coach, which means that you can not take or leave it. My wife can take or leave a drink. It doesn't bother her. Or she's like, I work this one out. She can have a glass of wine and then a cup of tea. I mean, what's that? Do you know what I mean?
I do that quite regularly.
I
worry about...
We did it earlier. I had a beer and then a cup of tea.
No. So once I'd have a drink, it was like a greyhound out of a trap. My brain said, right, boy, you're off.
Yeah.
But there's a void in between, so it's not rock bottom and between take or leave it. So a lot of women are grey area drinkers, so they might say, well, do you know what, I only have a couple of glasses of wine here and there. And you say to them, well, can you stop? Well, I don't want to stop. Why should I, and whatever. So it's still a coping mechanism, and if it affects your sleep, your relationship with your kids, your anxiety and whatever, then it's a problem. You don't have to reach a rock bottom for it to be a problem.
It costs you more than money.
If it's affecting your life in a negative way.
And it creeps up on you, honestly, because that half a bottle goes to a bottle, and then you start opening the second one for that extra glass. Before you know it, you've done the second bottle. So
did when you were drinking, even when you were getting absolutely annihilated, did your personality change much?
Yeah.
It did.
So it was a bit like Russian roulette. So for Em, I could be really like upbeat and happy and, you know, in a party mood, or I could be really low, really depressed, or I could be verbally aggressive. So in the end, she didn't ever WhatsApp me or message me. She would email me, because I would never look at my emails if I was drunk, because that was work, and it was like, no, you can go away. But when I'd read them in the morning, it was like, did I say that? You know? And it was really like an eye-opener for me. It's like, oh my God, she's such a lovely, lovely human being. What am I doing? That night I started drinking again.
Was that drinks that made you, because I remember George Best's kids said when he was obviously an alcoholic and at home, if he was on the wine, he was all right, but it's when he got onto the whiskies and the shorts that he would get aggressive and abusive. So was it different drinks trigger different emotions?
Yeah, I was bad on gin, so I never used to drink gin, but I was always topping up. I was never having the detox ever. So it all depended on what I had eaten that day, how stressful my day had been. You know, there's a million different elements to it, but it could be how the kids were behaving indoors, if she was arsey with me, all that, you know. So I'd start, and I'd drink really quick, as I said before, but I would get Henry Westons, and I would get my thumb and just rub off the percentage on the bottle, just so she didn't check. 8.2%, I'd drink 3 of them in 20 minutes. So I was literally like that, flying, then start on the red wine, and then the kids would start playing up, or Em was asked, and I would just fly off the handle. You know, it was...
Were you ever a fighter?
No.
Never a scrap?
They said he wasn't into fighting.
No, I wasn't a fighter.
It's interesting to... One of the things I always take away from conversations like these, and I've actually had a bit of experience with living with alcoholism and all that kind of thing, with living with somebody with alcoholism and somebody in recovery. And... it's the realization that like just everyone's different. Every individual is so different. Like what affects you one's tolerance or somebody else's tolerance. What affects somebody? Oh, I can never drink gin. Me, doesn't matter what I drink. The effect is the same. You know, whatever like number of like units is all that matters. So I don't get a bigger headache from X than I do from Y or whatever. But one of the things I've always felt quite lucky about is that. My personality doesn't fundamentally change when I'm just like probably bigger. So I'm already quite loud anyway, but I'm like, way. But the most embarrassing thing I'll ever do is just be overly affectionate. So I just think you're great. And I'll be like, I think the next day I'm like, I don't even like that person. I do it all the time, and I look at texts and I go, oh God, what did I say? And the texts are always like, just want to let you know you're really lovely. And I'm not talking about like trying to chat up girls. I'm talking about me saying this to like guys to make sure you're amazing and all this kind of thing. He, after 2 beers, he used to have to take himself home because his eyes would turn into runny eggs and he'd be looking for someone to kick the shit out.
Really?
Excuse me, after 2 fucking beers?
After 2 beers.
No,
mate, you were gone after the first hour. We'd go out clubbing after on a Friday night after 2 pints. And you'd be the first. You wouldn't last an hour in the club.
No,
I was there till today. I'm trying to pull some girls. You were gone, and his eyes like that, watering like that, and he's going. You could see him
fuming.
I'm like, what's the matter with you? And he goes, that lad over there, he's taking a piss. And I'm like, which lad? And he goes, that lad over there. And I'm like,
sometimes
hold on, stop defending. Yeah. And I go, which lad? He goes, that lad over there. And I was like, look at the way he's dancing. He's taking a piss out of me. I went, Will, he doesn't give 2 shits about you.
It's not. There was something. Listen, don't start painting this picture of me being some vulnerable bastard.
No, to be fair, because he wasn't violent and I've always genuinely, as much as I take the piss out of him, I've always admired this, he would go to me, see you Monday, lad, love you, I'm off home. And I'm like, wait, have one more. He's like, nope, can't. I know where it leads.
I knew him, and I did have a temper. I used to have a temper. My dad had a temper, and sometimes I put up with stuff, and after every couple of drinks, you think, fucking putting up with that anymore. And my levels of what I could put up with, because I would have a few drinks, would mean I'd either be super friendly or I'd then get aggressive. And it's not a nice person to be around.
He would perceive insults that didn't exist.
Oh, yeah, paranoid.
I'd suddenly start thinking he's talking about me over there all day.
God.
Because when you're on the TV, people would look at you, but then you'd be thinking, I'd have something in my head like, I've got to fucking deal with this.
The lads probably went, oh my God, look over there, there's Will.
No, but there is time when I used to get a bit of abuse or people would say stuff that I could take when I was sober, but I wouldn't when I'd had a few. I was like, why should I take shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it'd be on. So, and I'm glad that was left behind in my younger years, because I'm not like that. And it's just, sometimes I've apologised now to people. I've gone up to people and I've said, them years I was like that, I'm really sorry. It's not me, but there was something inside me, and when I'd have a drink, it'd come out.
Yeah. Do you know what makes me feel?
I didn't want it to be like
that. People go, I once met you on a night out and you had a drink, and you'll be like, oh God, I'm sorry, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything horrible, did I? But I'm the same as that, but with football. Right. If ever I meet anyone and go, I played football with you in about 2002, I immediately go, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did or said, but I guarantee I was a dick.
Yeah, I had someone go to me and say, I kicked your teeth out in 1998.
Do you know before you said you drank non-alcoholic beers at that function you went to? You said you drink. Well, I've got a tray of non-alcoholic drinks.
Oh, nice.
And I thought we could. Perfect time.
Yeah, I'm thirsty as well.
So this is an interesting question. We've got a tray of non-alcoholic drinks to try because there's been a real kind of upsurge in high quality. You know, there's been non-alcoholic beer for years.
Yeah.
But I think we can all be honest and say it didn't taste great.
No.
But there's been a real upsurge and a real pointed effort to try and make things that taste like the real deal. Is that something that you enjoy? Do you like, oh, I've got the taste of that, and you still like the taste of it, to like hark back to the old days but without the danger?
Yeah.
Or is it like a weird...
It's a sensitive subject, right, that I always say to people that if at any point they trigger you at all, have an alternative like kombucha or a nice tonic, because it's not worth it. But for some reason they don't. But I did go to a bar in London, Brewdog Bar, which is a non-alcohol bar. They don't sell any alcohol, right? And she poured me a pint, and I was like, oh, I can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so it wasn't what was in the pint, it was the pint glass.
It was the look of the pint glass.
Yeah, because I would chuck them back. So I've got no problem with the bottles, because I would never buy them, because you're getting half a pint for £5. So I was all about the quantity. But I haven't got a problem with them. And what I find as well with them, you only want one or two, and then you're like, oh, don't want any more, I'm full up.
Yeah, I used to drink 16. To him describing how he shits himself.
We used to, on 2 pints, they used to give us calibers. Remember when that came out? That used to rot your guts. Like, do you remember the stink of our farts? We was doing scenes and be like,
don't involve me.
You stunk rotten.
I didn't used to sit on the set.
We used to beg them to give us real beer. We'd be like, can you give us some real one? That caliber's horrible. Well, we've got some non-alcoholic here. We're going to start with the Lucky Saint.
That's my favourite, that is.
Well, yeah.
Well done.
Well, I thought... Right. You have a look at the Lucky Saint. It's so it's 0 alcohol, the Lucky Saint.
Well, it's actually 0.5.
Yeah, there's more in a banana, to be honest. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I believe this is vegan, Will, so you'll be very pleased.
It's all
I had a vegan burger the other day. My bowels have not recovered.
Oh, God.
It was like hitting a gobble.
He talks about
that and caliber, mate.
Yeah.
Right, so we're just doing a little taster.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
I just love everything about Lucky Saint, the branding, and it's a nice bottle as well.
So you've tasted it, so cheers.
Cheers.
Anyway, cheers, boys. Thanks. Hey,
cheers.
Lovely to see you, Dave. So let's have a go. You can taste a non-alcohol in that.
That tastes a bit like caliber to me.
Does it?
Yeah, you like that one.
I love this one. I really do like that one. But to keep going, I won't get drunk.
Well, not sure about that one, I must admit. That's but do you know what it tastes a bit like? A lighter Ralph's face says it.
Have you farted in his mouth?
I feel like he has, actually.
Lucky Saint tastes like a fart in your mouth. Right, Lucky Saint, yes.
Yeah.
This is the Heineken.
How are you going to do this, by the way? You've only brought 3 glasses.
Well, we can just keep tipping it in. Just neck it. That's why I want to give you a bit.
With his Lucky Saint?
Well, he can neck it.
You've got no class, you.
Well, go and get some more pissing glasses. Who am I, Jeeves? Go and get some more pissing glasses. You didn't see you move.
Put your penny on.
Exactly.
So you didn't...
Alfred.
You didn't like that one?
Jesus, Ralph.
Wow.
Right.
Thank you.
Now you've flooded the table with glasses.
That's all right.
Right, so now we've got...
Heineken 0.
This is Heineken 0.
And that's 0.
This is 0. There you go. Have a go at that, Dave.
Thank you. Here's another one there.
I'm going to use the same glass balls. I don't care.
Well, you can put it in my teacup.
Is it empty? Yeah.
I like proper alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I'm going old
this
school.
is
What are you doing?
what?
Pass me the pan.
Are you going to put in your teacup?
Yeah, okay.
What's wrong with you? It tastes like tea.
Might improve it.
So that's how I used to drink. So
Did you? You
no, I didn't. I never used to drink. out of a
Okay, so
mug.
this is Heineken. Cheers,
Yeah,
boys.
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's do
Cheers.
it.
Why not?
Cheers.
This is.
Oh, you've mugged me right off.
Well, I mugged you off because you've got a
mugged
fucking
me
mug.
right off.
Right.
What do you reckon?
I could drink that. You don't.
Yours tastes like tea, doesn't it, Ralph?
I
Tell
could
the
drink-
truth.
I didn't
Funny enough, this Heineken tastes like tea.
even
Yeah.
pour any in. It's just cold tea.
And he complained you was pouring yours in the same glass as the Lucky
exactly.
Saint. So
You don't like it, do you?
I'm not sure. I do. I don't mind it. It's better. I tell you what, I think it's better than the Caliber we used to drink.
Yeah.
It's not got an aftertaste. What do you think of that one?
oh, I like that one. Yeah, they're my two favourites to be honest. I'm not. We're going to go on to the other ones. which-
Listen, this is the one that you're not a fan of, is it?
no, I don't like that one.
Right. Well, let's see. Let's let's taste the one Dave doesn't like.
Yeah.
We've started now, so we have to finish.
Can I have mine in a teacup then?
Right.
Let's neck that one.
Neck it. Okay, Ralph. Do you want it back in your mug?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, Jesus.
You're gonna put a bit in. Get it down, you.
Look, he's drunk
Did
already
you-
on
did you
0%
promote it?
alcohol.
Oh, no, I did.
You did it, you dick.
I put way too much in.
Do you want some of this glass instead? I think it looks better in a glass, Ralph. Have it in the glass.
Yeah,
There you go.
Smashed. Thanks.
There you go.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking forward to getting onto the
It's a taster.
Getting onto the
What are you looking forward to?
alcohol-free gin. I
Alcohol
think that's
free.
going to be really interesting.
I don't like alcohol gin, so that's going to be
There
a
we go.
struggle. Right, cheers,
Cheers.
boys.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. So this one is the
Beck's Blue.
Beck's Blue. Let's have a go.
No,
No.
that's like boot polish.
No. No.
One of my favourite things in the world
Yeah.
is watching you
That's not good.
taste something and then hate it,
gonna-
but try and find
instant
something
fucking
good to
headache.
say about it.
It's
Do you
got
remember your mum used to paint stuff on your nails to stop you biting your nails
Yeah.
like that?
Well, he knew he dn't like it and he still tried it. Go on, Dave. That's
Well,
what I
I'm game, mate. Can you imagine what I was like when I was drinking?
Yeah, it's
Get
like-
that down, yeah.
David would be like, "That's horrible. Fill it up."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's not good at all. The Beck's, is
No,
it?
I'll have to neck it though.
Oh, God, no. Where's... Oh, no, that's horrible.
Can't say that, can we? I actually quite like that. I think Becks are fantastic.
Why have we got a sponsor?
No, but we might do if we've been nice about them.
No. Well, listen, you might like Beck's at home, but for me, I'm looking for a cat's ass to lick to get the taste out of my mouth.
Covered in Marmite.
Oh, we're going for something different here. Now, this is a Copperberg. This is, I think this is strawberry flavour.
Tell Dave about Jaden.
Yeah, my son was going to watch one of them late night boxing matches. You know, they're on at 3 a.m. My next door neighbour's got like a big screen thing. So he said, right, son, you can have a Copperberg while you're there. You know what I mean? I trust he's 17. Well, you can have a Copperberg. So I'll let you have one. So I said, you can take one round for your mate. So I went to the shop and I got him some. And he was dead chuffed. He had his little Copperberg and he went round next day. I said, how was it? He went, you bought me alcohol-free, Dad. I
Oh,
was like,
my God.
Sorry, son, it was a mistake, but I'm glad I did.
Was
Yeah.
it a mistake?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I thought
it-
you'd stitched him up.
No, it was a mistake. I was trying to be nice, trying to be a dad. Go, he's 17. I let him have one Copperberg, but no, he got alcohol-free and got a load of stick off his mates. So this is alcohol-free Copperberg.
Yeah.
So we're going in. We'll have to mix it because we haven't got enough glasses. It might taste a
Snake
bit like...
bite.
Snake bite. Oh, yeah, do you remember that?
Giving me hiccups.
Snake bite. Shut your face, Ralph.
I'm not into it at all.
Just try it. This looks and smells quite nice.
Yeah, let's mix it with this beer.
It's got a nice smell to it.
Bubble gum.
Bubble gum, he said. Ralph, are you in?
Oh, you like that, didn't you?
Well, Copperberg itself, the actual drink,
Jesus, that's sweet.
is very sweet.
Yeah.
right? Wow. But I think that
It tastes like Hubba Bubba.
I
Yeah,
think
it
that
does.
if you like Copperberg,
Yeah.
that is a good approximation of what Copperberg is.
Come drink a bottle of that.
But I don't particularly like, for that same reason. I try and drink a bottle of Copperberg. I'm like, "Bleh."
It's like drinking a packet of fucking Haribo. it's too much.
It really does have a hubba bubba.
It is strawberry Hubba Bubba.
It really
So
is.
If you like strawberry Hubba Bubba, get yourself alcohol
One of
free.
them. You're laughing.
Dave's necking it though. Go on, son.
Only because we've got one glass. Right, now we're going to mix Hubba Bubba with some 0% gin.
0% gins we're on. Now this one
Weirdly, I think that could work.
Yeah.
Right, clean Cuba Libre.
Clean Cuba Libre.
I'm just making sure because I'm not the best reader and I've not got my bins on. Okay, so what is this? Low alcoholic. Is this gin? You read it. You read it. Is that gin?
Low alcohol spiced spirit with cola. Oh, Cuba Libre, it's rum. It's like a rum.
Oh, I love rum. Rum is my friend. I do like a bit of rum. Ralph, you can do the honours and pour.
Low alcohol, 0.8%, that all right?
Or is that too much for you?
No, it's all right.
You sure?
0.8.
Oh, we soon find out.
No, fucking hell, don't blame us. Jesus Christ, we go out and he's got no cheadles.
Remember, I'm not a fighter, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's true.
Find out tomorrow.
All right, okay.
Please, we don't want to start you off again.
Yeah, that'd be in the press. Sober Dave.
Sober Dave gets pissed on Will and Ralph's podcast. End over. 2 pints with Will and Ralph.
It was so irresponsible of them.
Yeah, they stitched me up.
So this is like a rum and coke, no alcohol, or 0.8. Right. So the smell, it smells like coke.
God, it does smell like rum, actually.
Oh, it does smell like rum. What they
You
use?
sure it's 0.8 and not 10.8?
Listen, you better
I
fucking.
think I'm going to give that one a swerve, actually.
Do you know
Right.
what? I can smell the rum.
Yeah.
But it says it's less than 0. Well, it says less than 0.5% volume.
Yeah.
And then on the back, it says carbonated water, fructose, vegetable glycerin, rum, brackets 0.8%.
Yeah.
But there's
you know
rum in
what?
it. You
I
better
don't
swear.
want it. No, that's
No,
simple.
Okay, fair enough. I'll have a
play
taste of it.
Because I tell you what,
Boundaries.
that is the first one that you can literally go, "Whew, I can smell alcohol in it. I
Yeah.
can't believe it smells so strong.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's deliberately smells strong to make it feel like
Yeah.
it's still a
Yeah,
drink.
but it doesn't taste strong. You taste it, it tastes like the rum's missing. It tastes like watered down cola. Remember roller cola? You used to shit coke your mum used to get from
Oh, yeah.
Panda
Panda
Cola. She'd go, where have you got that from? Aldi. What's it called? Cola.
Yeah.
What is it? It doesn't taste like anything. What do you want for 20p a pissing 2 litre bottle?
I could.
You like that?
I could. Well, I could.
It's not.
I could drink it in a bar with some
It's
ice
not bad.
and
It's not bad, and it's better. It's not as sweet as the what's it? Copperberg. I'll drink yours, Dave.
Have it.
Just like a test this.
I'm not really enjoying this section very much.
No, but we have a job to do for people out there
I know,
who
but
don't
what's
want to drink.
interesting is, I'm thinking, oh, do I not like these? But I'd be interested, like, if we were doing the same with just beer, we'd still probably be going, oh, God, I was not in the mood for this.
Yeah, we wouldn't be making much sense. Okay, what should we try? Do you want to try all these? Because this is a 0.0% Gordon's gin.
Yeah, go on.
We have a go
Gin
at
and
that.
tonic.
Now,
Yeah.
the problem is with these glasses, we'll have to...
There we go, we've got 3 more there.
Okay, get them out, Dave.
Okay, what out?
That was one.
Right.
Go on then. So what's this Gordon's gin and tonic?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You are rancid.
No, I'm sorry.
You're
but
absolutely
It's that
rancid.
non-alcoholic rum and coke. It went right.
Yeah, I know
It's
where-
made me a bit...
I know where
Go
we're
on,
at
Ralph.
to.
What are you saying?
So
This is
a
0%.
0.0% gin and
Gordon
tonic.
gin and
I mean,
tonic.
look, it's not also for people in recovery or people.
No.
You know, the idea of this stuff is that you could substitute for a night out if you want to feel like you're having a drink, or substitute on a night
If you're having a
out
drive,
or-
you're driving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or if you're driving or whatever. And to be honest, me personally in life, I'm sort of trying to think about this kind of thing, and I reckon I could get on board with a few of these things just socially, you know.
Well, this is a 0% gin and tonic. I don't like any gin and tonic. It gets right on me clacker. Do you know at the back of your throat? Go on. Put it.
That tastes like lemonade to me.
It tastes exactly like lemonade. I could drink that.
There's an aftertaste on your clacker, like proper gin.
Is that the scientific term?
I don't know.
Are you
but-
getting a gin clacker?
No, I just don't know what it is about gin. Oh,
Well, that's flat lemonade to me.
Yeah,
a bit like flat lemonade, but with the extra little thing.
Yeah, pour that out.
Actually, we can use a pourer out a glass of her.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Dave,
Yeah.
you're 3 years sober, right?
Yes.
So what we haven't really talked about is the stuff that's happened since. You know, you've gone in a lot of detail about what it was like leading up to that point.
Yeah.
But 3 years sober, it's been a huge journey for you. You started blogging with the community and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and became Sober Dave, this character in a way. And tell me about like the app and what the work that you've been doing just to try and. Is mentoring the right word, or just supporting, I guess, or sponsoring? Like,
no, I like to say supporting, really, because we're all different. I don't preach. You know, we're all in different stages and we've got different stories, you know. So I trained to be a grey area drinking coach because I realised there was a huge niche in this world. You know, you don't have to be on a park bench to have a problem.
Is that like an official sort of term, or is that something that you have developed?
It's
so
an
grey
official,
area drinking coach is like a thing that exists.
Yeah, grey area drinking.
And then you train, okay.
And so I support people that way. But giving back is a huge part of it as well, because when you've been where I've been and you can see how life can change, when you get messages saying, do you know what, Dave, you did a post a year ago and that made all the difference to me. And so today I'm celebrating a year of sobriety. Amazing. It doesn't just change their life, it changes their families' lives, everyone around them, their kids, you know. So I've got a real passion for helping people. But then one day I got up and my wife said, I think I might do a podcast. And I said, actually, I think I might too. Yeah. And within a week, I bought all the gear, no idea. And I started off with my first one. And it went in the top 10 of the Apple charts that week. Wow. It just exploded. Since then, I've done 3 seasons and I'm on season 4 now. And I love that because it's a bit like us doing this, just chat. People tell their stories and that, and people from all over the world are saying, oh my God, I could really relate to what was said there. I've created an app now which is outside social. Well, it's just an app that I've created that I think some people don't really like social media. So this is another safe space for people to come into. I do lots of tutorials on there to help people with cravings, triggers. There's a community in the app. There's meditation, food plans, all sorts of things going on in there, you know, which is going to obviously grow. And I'm writing a book, which, as I said earlier, is really dragging up some things for me, you know, really emotional stuff, you know, but it's all going down on paper, so that'll be out this year. And I've been asked to do talks in America and stuff, but it's a real passion of mine now, and it's not just money orientated. It's like I really, really want to help people beat this terrible addiction, you know, because it's everywhere, isn't it? Booze, wherever you look.
Exactly.
Well, you've got it sounds like you've got a real purpose as well. Russell Howard was on our previous episode, and he was talking about everyone really, but he said that his experience as a man, we feel like men tend to be, so if you have a purpose and a sense of something to kind of work towards. It sounds like in the last 3 years, this is like, it's not more than a passion of yours, it's like a real purpose, a real driving force in life.
It is, and to think that weekend on the beach, I didn't care if I live or died, to now thinking I really have got a job to do here. But for myself as well, because there's never a finish line to this. You know, it's up and down, up and down.
Yes. Do you sense? Do you have a feeling? I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'm asking because, like we say, everybody's different, and people listening to this might need to know. But do you? Is it like, right? Well, I'm sober now, so that's done, or is it constant vigilance, constant like maintenance of that mental state or awareness of what's around you and all that kind of thing?
You have to be mindful. So my analogy is that it's like you've had an ex you've dumped, but she lives in the next street. You know, she's been toxic in your life and you've said, I don't want this anymore, but you might bump into her every now and again. So you have to be mindful all the time. But my biggest thing is that I've got control of it. That's really important for me. And I also don't look at this as recovery. I look at it as discovery, because at my age, right, I was 54 when I gave up boozing, and that's proof you're never too old to do it. Because for me, it would have been easy for me to say, do you know what, I've been drinking 40 years.
It is.
What's the point now? You know, but I didn't, and that's the message I put out there. It doesn't matter how old you are, and also how you can turn your life around in such a short period of time. And again, what I said earlier is how it knocks onto everyone else. So the kids now are growing up without drinkers in the family, you know, and we quite often hear them talking in the background, well, are you going to drink? Well, I don't think I will. Well, if I do, I'm only going to be moderate and stuff. And they're healthy conversations, because I'm not anti-alcohol. It's just, for me, I ruined it years ago. I went past that line, and your brain learns that. And once you go past it, you can't go back the other side. And that's why I don't think people can moderate when they've had an issue with alcohol.
No.
That's how you end that.
Cheers to that.
Well, I just thought what Ralph said something really poignant before we started this, and just to end with this sparkling wine, alcohol free. This is what's that called?
I don't know how you get McGuigan.
Yes.
As in Barry.
McGuigan Zero, it's called. Anyway, I just want to say, Ralph said something poignant, and he said, you know what? Doing this today, if we help just one person who's listening or watching, then we've done our job. If it just creates conversation, if it you know what I mean, this is how important this sort of conversation is. And you coming in here today and being open and honest about things you've been through and how you felt, I think is going to be massive for listeners.
Actually, Dave, it's like you said as well, like the stuff you've done in the last 3 years, and even coming in here and talking to us, like Will says, like, you know as well as anyone, it could just be a post, an offhand comment you made a year ago. And you know as well as anyone, it was just a text at the right time, New Year, the right person, the right place. Do you want to do this with me for 3 months? Changed everything. So, you know, it's amazing what you're doing is like putting that out there for people to find. And, I hope that this is...
one conversation like this can change thousands of lives, because if it makes someone stop and think about their relationship with alcohol, and they go, do you know what? I am having a bit too much now.
I think it will make. I think that question will. And also, people can then go, do you know what? I'm going to send this podcast to somebody who I think could do with this year. Who could we do with sponsoring us some money for mentioning all this low alcohol booze?
Yeah, we do all that, but I guarantee by the start of next podcast, we're going, anyone want any beer companies want to sponsor?
I'm just mean, I mean, if you don't think somebody could be benefiting from listening to this podcast, then make sure you let them know.
It's like, somebody will be listening, and he told me before you arrived, he was like, I'll tell you what though, easy, I can get hold of you. I went home last night. No, he didn't go home. He said, I went to a hotel last night because Michelle was out for the night, so I decided I'd just stay in town. So I got home, 2 beers, and then I had a couple of glasses of wine.
I had 1 glass of red wine.
Then I went on to the whiskey.
No, I didn't. He's talking bollocks. I said, you know what? Sometimes I have a beer just because I'm bored. I'll sit watching telly and I'll have a... But, as I say, I do monitor it, whereas I used to not care. I used to not think of anything. But now, I do think about it more. I don't know if that's an age thing.
Dave said something earlier, which is interesting, which is... Like we've already talked about, like everybody's different, every individual's different, which is why some people like need help and support and recognition, right? But when you said, I was functioning in that, like I'd go out and get absolutely smashed and I'd still be able to be up and be okay at work the next day. That wasn't sort of that as shocking as it could have been, because I didn't say it at the time, but I was thinking, we've done that. Me and him have done that together, and then still turned up for rehearsals for 2 pints.
When we were younger, made of rubber and could bounce.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And we did that, but it's interesting because there's plenty of people. I'd be amazed if there's anyone, if there's anyone listening to this, or very few people, but I'd be surprised if there's anyone listening to this who doesn't go, yeah, I mean, we've all turned up to work absolutely steaming, like hungover, and had to push through it. But it's what you talk about is like self-awareness, recognizing it when it's becoming an issue, trying to sort of catch it before it does, and all those kind of things. And I guess conversation, exactly what we're doing is
100%. And what I tend to find is that men don't have those conversations. And I really try and encourage them to do so, to think, actually, how is this working for me now, alcohol? Is it actually really what I think it is? Like, is it socially what I want to be doing now, going out now at, whatever age you are, and getting obliterated and your wife's got the hump with you. There's a million questions you can ask, really, but take time out to ask some questions. Is this working for me? Because 9 times out of 10, it's different down the line from when we were younger, going out clubbing, and that's when it was fun but it escalates.
Yeah.
And then you have to catch it. I didn't catch it. I went way past that limit, and I'm lucky to be here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very lucky. And I know people that haven't made it who've drunk less than me.
Yeah, well, there you go. That is very, very true, isn't it?
You can also, anyone, I guess people listening, you can frame it however you want. To be honest, I'd just be happy to never be hungover again.
Yeah,
that would do. That's why I drink way less than I used to in my 20s, because I'm like, and I think these people say your hangovers get worse as you get older. I'm not sure that's true. I think
it fucking is.
No, I think my hangovers have always been terrible. I think most people's hangovers have always been terrible.
I never used to get them.
It's just that some people don't get them, but I find that it's just that when I was young, it was like, oh well, it was worth it. I had a great night. But now I'm a bit like, I've had great nights. I've banked them. This is not worth it. So, I just happily just never be hungover.
Remind me never to out with you again, fuck, Listen, I just want to say, we're going to have this sparkling, as I say. Big thank you for coming to see us.
Pleasure. Thanks for asking.
Sober Dave, everybody, and we're going to do a last little look at this McGuigan's sparkling wine. Is it any good?
Dave's not impressed.
It's not terrible, to be honest.
It's dry, isn't it? It's like a dry.
It's not terrible.
Have another sip, Will.
No. It's like I've stuck my tongue on a battery. Do you know that tingling feeling? Remember when you used to do that as a kid? Put your tongue on that battery. Remember that?
Have another sip.
Oh, look at the pinky coming out.
Oh, he's fooling no one.
The pinky's out. The pinky's out just to polish the turd of the wine. I'll tell you that. Well, thanks for coming in, man.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming to speak to us. I really appreciate your honesty.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for
Sober Dave, everybody! Thanks very much.
Thank you.